Hey guys, it's been over 2 years since I made a review about the Priest from RTI Arms, and I got a chance to do another one, which I think is a very good thing, because this gun is becoming very popular, and also because of the fact that the first review I made was actually done on the what it's usually called production prototype. So basically the first gun in production. So that one was actually in my hands before any of the customers got it. And of course, since then they have made quite a few changes, improvements in every aspect, and definitely it's worth checking out. RTI was good enough to send 2 of the guns to me to review, and what will follow is a full review with some accuracy. Now for accuracy I will report in this video, but if you want to see the actual how I shot the actual groups, then there will be a link down below where you can watch the full accuracy video, because otherwise this video will be way too long. By the way, first time in since I'm doing the YouTube videos, I have a cheat list, because this gun has so many features that I just can't remember them all, and it's worth taking time to go through all of them. That's why I made this cheat list. So let's check the guns out. So as I mentioned, I have 2 of them. Both came in this nice hard case. Now I should mention that this does not come standard with the gun, so basically this you have to purchase separately. And we have 2 colors, which is what they are offering now. So one is fully black anodized, and let's put this one aside. The second one is Cerakoted. Now this is a genuine Cerakoting. That means that this is very robust and not very sensitive to scratches and things like that. So, which is a really nice combination in terms of looks. The combination between the Cerakote and the black is really nice. So they sent 2 versions because they wanted me to test all calibers, and basically this one is high power, let's say higher power. This is 150 bar regulated, and that one is actually 125. And we'll get to those specs in a minute. So let's put them aside like this, and let's get on with the specifications. First of all, the guns are made in Slovenia, in European Union. There are 4 calibers available: the 177, 22, 25 and 30 caliber. And there's also an option for an arrow barrel. So basically you can also shoot arrows with it, but for that you have to additionally purchase the barrel, of course. You cannot buy the gun with the stock arrow barrel. So one barrel will come with the gun, and then you additionally buy the arrow barrel kit. The thing that is very special about this gun is the fact that it has one of the lowest profiles possible. And that means that the full height of the gun is very low, and that makes it very stable in your hands. Of course, this is due to the fact of this configuration when you have the bottle in front of it, and you can then place your handle right beneath the barrel, meaning that it's very stable. Basically, most bullpups especially have cylinder below the barrel, and then comes the grip. So you're basically holding it here, and it can like wobble around, and it's harder to keep it stable. So this is a very nice feature. It's not the first gun that has this, but it's definitely one of the lowest in terms of the height. I believe it's, I have it written down, it's 157 millimeters, the total height. Okay, so let's go on. Cocking is side, so basically it's a straight pull it back and let it go. It returns to position. You should put it front, so basically you should return it yourself and then fire it. Now it does have spring, so it does go back itself. But in the case when you have a magazine and you're pushing a pellet in the barrel, that might not be enough for it to push it. So always make sure you push it fully forward before you fire it. It has, this is a slightly newer feature, so first guns didn't have this. It has an option to lock back, so basically you just put it down and lock it so it stays back, and then you put it up and forward and you are ready to fire. It has a removable bottle. It's aluminium, and it holds about 320 cc's of air. It can be filled up to 300 bars, and it has a built-in regulator on the bottle itself. So basically, only the bottle is at 300 bars. Everything behind from this regulator, which is connected through the hose below the barrel, is already regulated, meaning that it's either 125 or 150 bars. So removable, but just unthreading it and waiting for that small hiss, and then you can fully unthread it like this. And of course you still have this full of air, and the gun is still full with air. So basically in 22 calibers you can still have a few shots on just this regulated chamber back here before it starts to drop the velocity down. When you have it like this, you have an additional option. There's a additional quick fill connector here. Now this is not for charging the gun. The gun is charged via this quick fill on the bottle. This one below is if you want to have an option not to have the bottle on the gun while you're shooting. So basically you can have this connected to a hose, and that hose goes in here, and then you just have that hose from here behind your belt to the bottle, and you can shoot with such a light package, so the gun without the bottle. So that's a very, very nice feature, especially for those who, let's say, either hunt and can carry something very light in their hands and have this bottle by the belt, or they can even have a different bottle. It doesn't have to be this one. The only thing that it has to be regulated, of course, because you need the regulated pressure in here already. Or for bench rest shooters, you just place this and shoot as much as you want, and just have this hose connected to your regulated source. This is a very nice feature to have. If we get back to the bottle, so as I mentioned, you have a quick fill here for filling it. You have the gauge here, which shows you the unregulated pressure, and you have two fuses, and that's quite you don't see a lot of these in the guns. So basically you have the high pressure fuse and the low pressure, so regulated pressure fuse. And this is of course nice in terms of safety, so you can rest assured that before anything happens, these fuses will blow and the air will escape without any danger. So they do have, this is kind of a new thing, they do have option of having a carbon fiber bottle, and this one is actually a slightly larger capacity. It's actually 500 cc, so half a liter. This one is 320, this one is 500, but it does stick out a little bit, so it's slightly longer than the barrel. So this is kind of a new option that you can now have if you prefer to have the lightweight version. Of course it will cost a little bit additional, but it's an option. Okay, let's go forward. The gun has a shrouded barrel inside. The barrel is 20 inches long, and you have an option, as I mentioned before, for calibers. Now the calibers from 177 to 25 are made. The barrels are made by CZ, and 30 caliber is made by Lothar Walther. All of them choked, standard twist, so 450 millimeters for 177 to up to 25, and for 30 caliber is 405 millimeters standard, like you would find on the any kind of air gun. As I mentioned, the barrel is shrouded, so the noise report is not that high on these guns. Although if you want an additional suppressor, you can add it on, or any kind of other option. Now this thread is now changed, is actually now more standard 1/2 inch or UNF, what is called UNF, right? So it's more standard now. You can actually use any kind of suppressor on it. The thing I would watch out a little bit, this thread is fairly short. Some suppressors have a deeper thread in, so make sure that you can fit it on here. But the thread is correct for any kind of standard suppressor. Okay, moving forward and to my cheat list. The shot counts on these guns is actually extremely high because RTI really puts a lot of efforts and has a strong research and development that make sure that the bounce is correct, the air usage is correct, that everything is really as it should be. And they are getting on the 22 caliber 110 shots per fill. So basically, if you fill this bottle, the 320, up to 300 bars, and you shoot it down to 125, which is the standard regulator pressure for the 22 version, you will get 110 shots at 45 joules. 45 joules is, I'm not sure, about 30 foot-pounds or something like that. You can calculate this. So basically, very, very good shot count. Now, personally, I cannot say that I've tested any of the calibers for the shot count because the shot count is just so big that you just shoot. I mean, I would really have to dedicate time and just intentionally shoot to see the shot count, and I didn't take that on. I must admit that. I did have the guns for about almost 2 months now, and I really test everything in terms of accuracy, functionality, trigger, and etc., but not for the shot count. But the shot count, as we saw, is extremely big. So the powers that you're getting with different calibers is about 30 joules in 177, 45 in 22, 60 in 25, and 90, or maybe just under 90 in 30 caliber, which is kind of the power that you would expect, that it's still high and it's still appropriate to not to have really too high velocity in terms of getting bad accuracy, because pellets will not be stable anymore. So, as you probably know, you don't want to push pellets at too high velocities because they will get destabilized and you will lose accuracy at longer range. So the power is just appropriate for the pellets that are out there, and of course my test was all done with JSBs because they just work the best, especially out of these barrels. Okay, moving on. The gun has a self-indexing magazine. It is very easy to operate. So this is, for example, a 30 caliber. Now the 177 has 14 pellets, so the capacity is 14 pellets. 22 is 12, 25 is 10, and 30 is 7. This one is 7. And so loading is extremely easy, and a very important feature of this magazine is also that you can put it from any side you want. So basically you can put it either here if you're right-handed and not to have it in the way of your cheek, or you can put it from this side without any adjustment. You just put it from the other side. Of course, you have to load the pellets from the correct side to feed them in the proper direction. And now you have a left option. So let's decock it. So very nice feature for these magazines. The magazines are very easy to load. What you do is decide if you're gonna have it on the right side or the left side, and then just throw the pellet in the hole, push it in. You don't need any tool basically, and then rotate to a next hole, push new one in, rotate to a next hole, push next in. Oh, sorry about that. Basically, you keep on doing this until there's room for pellets. Of course, all pellets are inserted with the head first, and as soon as you put it in, you cannot rotate it back anymore. So that's why you rotate it to the next one, and when you push it in, you cannot rotate it again, and etc. until it's full. Then you cock the gun, put it in, start shooting. So magazines, by the way, unlike most brands, are slightly longer, at least in my experience. So basically you can really fit about anything you want. They're 12 millimeters long. So anything that is shorter than 12 millimeters will fit in. It doesn't matter what caliber, in any caliber of the magazine. Or if you want to single load, it's also very easy to single load. That way you have a slightly longer option. So basically it's about 16 millimeters you can get. That is probably not useful for most of you, but those of you who wants to really tweak this gun and have some sort of high power gun, you can really take advantage of having an option for longer pellets or even slugs, for example. Trigger is adjustable. Basically, you have one screw on the trigger, on the blade, and with that one you actually adjust the length of pull of the first stage, and then you have additional screw here, and with this one you can adjust the length of pull of the second stage. This is about it what you can adjust. There's some options to tweak it inside a little bit to have the weight of the pull of the first stage, but that's not something that you can do right outside of the gun. But these two you can adjust without removing anything. So that is a very nice feature. Trigger has a safety, which is a button style safety. I believe those are AR-15 style. I'm not sure, you can correct me down in comments below because I'm not sure. Basically, push it from the left side, it's safe. You cannot pull it, push it from the right side, and it's on fire. Very simple, very intuitive. Not fully ambidextrous. Of course, if you are lefty, then you will have to make vice versa. So use your thumb to put it off safe and put your indexing finger to put it on safe. Speaking of ambidextrous, also of course the charging handle is always on the left side, meaning that if you are left-handed, then basically you will have to put your hand off the gun, so you'll have like more traditional way of cocking. Unlike if you're right-handed, then you can always have this on the this hand on the trigger, and this one used to repeat cycle the gun. So you can really fast shoot fast this way. Okay, so let's move on. We mentioned AR-15 briefly. So the grip is basically standard AR-15 grip. They are using this grip now, which is actually slightly more tilted than the previous one, and it's really nice to hold. So this one is standard. Of course, you can use also any kind of other AR-15 compatible grip. The only limitation is that it must be without what is called, I believe, a beaver tail. Yeah, beaver tail, which is slight curve on the top. And they did this because, I assume, because they wanted as low profile as possible. And if you put with the beaver tail, then it has to be lower and the gun would get higher, etc., etc. Moving on the top you have the Picatinny rail, standard Picatinny rail for the optics, which of course is quite common. So, but it's the ultimate and the best way to mount scopes, especially if you like to put scopes from one gun to another. It's very easy to place them in the same position and have have it sighted without really changing anything. Okay, let's get to some specification regarding the length and weight. So full gun is 706 millimeters long, so it's really short. And you can see I am a slightly bigger guy, but still it's ridiculously small in my hands. And light now that it's without a bottle. Speaking of weight, it's about 3 kilograms with the bottle and 2.1 without it. So right now it's 2.1. Okay, I think I mentioned already, I mentioned the options to thread suppressor. Maybe one comment regarding what was not in my, what was different on my prototype. For example, this is a spare barrel, so barrel to exchange for different calibers. Before they used some sort of air stripper, which was like a longer threaded on thing on the barrel. And they are not using this anymore simply because they found that they got better accuracy with only this option. So basically, so that the pellet is free of anything near it or right after it exits the barrel. So that is why they switched to this option without that longer aluminum part. And since we are speaking of the barrels, I mentioned that it comes in different calibers. So not only it comes in different calibers, the calibers are very easy swappable. So basically you can purchase only a barrel kit. So purchase a gun, let's say 22, but then you say I want also an option to have it in 25. Then you just get a barrel kit. A barrel kit is will consist of the barrel itself. You will have to get a tool for removing it. You can do without it. I did it without it in this case because they forgot to send it to me. But it's very hard because, of course, the barrel is, if you check the length, the barrel is quite deep inside. So basically, less part of the shroud is, you cannot reach it just by your hand. So you have to like hit on some wood or something like that, that it goes slowly out. Of course, you risk damaging your muzzle. Not the muzzle of the barrel, but the muzzle of the shroud. The kit is from a barrel, magazine for that caliber, pellet pusher for that caliber, and different cap. Basically, they send just cap without the thread protector. Thread protector is the same because it's made for the same suppressor, so the 1/2 inch with the 1/2 inch thread. And that's about it. And replacing is very easy. I won't show it in this video because it's already getting too long. So basically you unscrew this screw, get the tool, take out this end cap and use the tool and thread it on the barrel, pull the barrel out, insert a new pellet pusher by removing, unscrewing the small screw here to take one out, put another one in, put a new barrel in, screw it back on, and you're done. Put a new another magazine, the different caliber magazine in, and you can shoot right away. If you want more details regarding how this is done, take a look at my first video. I went really in details regarding changing barrels and things like that in the first video. So more information, you can check that video, which again is linked below. Okay, so another thing they improved is if you watch my first video, you notice that after each shot there is like a squeaking sound, which came from the refilling of the regulator chamber. They fixed this by making some changes on this part, and that's about it. So let's get to accuracy. Now I tested it at 50 meters. That's kind of seemed the most fair test for this gun because there was some wind when I did the test, and the results was, I mean, there are not a lot of air guns that are more accurate than this. So basically it's more up to conditions, so whether there's wind or something like that, and more up to the shooter, which I probably also wouldn't brag that I'm the best shooter. Probably someone could do a better group than I did. For 177 I got the groups here. So basically for 177 the problem was that I really didn't have the pellets I would like to shoot it with. So basically I would recommend to shoot it with monsters redesigned, but I had only regular monsters. So what I did is have, this is the first group I made at 50 meters. This is with regular JSB exacts. This is the second group, which is with JSB exact heavies. Now you will notice right away that all of these groups are spread at left to right, so basically the windage, and that is simply because there was really a lot of wind on that day, and unfortunately that's why I got this wide groups. So basically I will put a link down below where you can find the videos of all of these groups that I made. The Barracudas were not as good, is also what I expected. I don't usually get as good groups with Barracudas as I do with JSBs. And with monsters, the main problem is that I had the old version, which is really not stable. And this is something that I mentioned quite a lot in my videos, mostly for 22 caliber with Huben, for example. But you can see clearly here that I didn't get stability. So hopefully I will get a chance to have the 177 gun again and get some redesigns, so monsters redesigned, to test this again, because I think that those would really be the most accurate pellet for it. Also, one of the reasons is because the power is quite high for regular pellets and the velocities is slightly on the limit. In the short range, the accuracy will be excellent, but longer, you might find some instability because of the too high velocity. And with the monsters, the velocity was just right, it's just that the pellet was not good. So moving on, 22 caliber. So these are the groups that I got with the 22 caliber. This is with, so yeah, let's not forget, you can see here it's HP on the end, that means high power. So I already tested all the calibers in my first video, and I also tested for the longer range, for 70 meters, and you can see that the groups are really exceptional. So what I wanted to do here is test this one with a high power. So meaning that I didn't use the 125 bar regulated version. I used the 150, which is, in my case, this bottle. And I did this because I wanted to see what the 22 is capable of doing with heavier pellets, especially since the JSB now really has a good selection of heavier pellets, which are the Monster Redesigned and Beast. And as you can see, with the regular jumbo heavies, I got a fairly good group. It's not bad, but I really got good group with Monsters Redesigned. Basically, I had two flyers, which in the videos you will see that it's probably my fault, but otherwise it's like a centimeter group, so really nice. And in the end, I also tested with JSB Beasts. I had a little more wind here, so the group opened up left to the right a little bit, but still a very good result. And now this was very high power for the caliber, so check that video out and let me know what you think. And let's move on. So by the way, generally the gun comes with a 125 regulator, 125 bar regulator for 177 and 22. and with those regulators you're getting the 30 joules and the 45 joules in 177 and 22. And usually for 25 and 30 caliber is 150 bar regulator. And I intentionally did this switch just to test this higher power with smaller caliber. Let's move on. 25 caliber. So you can see in the video the pellets I had were slightly lower quality than what usually I get from JSB. So otherwise I think that this group might be even better than this one, but it's still not bad. But of course still you can see the difference with the King Heavy MK2. It is extremely good group. We have one either flyer or my fault. I leave it up to you to decide in the video. And regular Kings are also excellent. So there's really no comment regarding the accuracy of the 25. And last we got the 30 caliber. Now this group is actually just sighting in, and then we have one group here which is extremely good, and one here when I had I pulled this one off and pull it just low, just my fault. But otherwise you can see that the accuracy is also excellent. So that's it. Maybe another comment regarding the regulators. Regulators are fixed, so basically the pressure that they set it to, 150 and 150 bars, is fixed. It doesn't have a screw inside to be adjusted. I got a lot of questions regarding this in the previous video. There is a way to put some washers in to change the pressure, but I wouldn't do that if I were you. Generally, what RTI is saying and doing is they really put focus on having everything balanced. So you have the hammer spring balance, hammer weight balance, pressure balance, and everything for the pellet. So basically that when you get the gun, you can just shoot it and forget about tweaking it. And of course, if you change the barrel, if, for example, you will go from, let's say, 22 or 177 to 30 or 25, then just get another regulator, is what I suggest, or even better, another bottle. That way, you can just put on different bottle when you change the caliber to get the higher or lower velocity, and then you can even play around of having a higher power on the lower calibers such as 22 and 177 if you want to experiment with something really heavy in terms of pellets or slugs. Or you can also experiment having very low power on the higher calibers, bigger calibers. I should mention that when you go to different pressure, you have to get a different spring, and there is a guide of the spring which serves as additional hammer weight when you go to higher caliber. So basically, when you get the bottle with the higher pressure, then you will get also that additional guide and the spring for that higher pressure, or vice versa. If you're going to lower pressure, you will get a different spring, and you have to remove the spring guide. So hopefully I cover everything. Thanks for watching, guys. Please subscribe to my channel, comment below, ask me anything you like. I will try to get answers from you from RTI as well. Maybe very important thing that I didn't mention and you're probably curious about, hopefully you're still with me at that time, the price. It's very hard actually to find a gun that is this versatile, this accurate, and this consistent for this price range. So the recommended price for Europe, so basically in euros, is 999 euros. So just under 1,000 euros. I think it's just over 1,000 US dollars in US. I'm not sure, don't quote me for this, please. Just check the webpage or from RTI, you will find where you can find the dealers for the country you're in, and you check the actual price. So if you ask me, this is an extremely good price for extremely versatile, accurate, consistent, and general tuned in, I would say, gun. It's really tuned in. It's just everything is so simple here. So that's it, guys. Thanks for watching again. Click that bell if you want to see my future videos, and see you next time.